Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hugger Asia Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Raised by Wolves season number season number 2, episode number 6, which is titled The Tree. And this was another enjoyable episode. And yeah, I did enjoy it, but then again, when I got to realize what had happened to Sue, I was kind of disappointed because I wanted to see more of Sue. Maybe she's still around. I'm not really sure. So, because of Sue having been in contact with the signal, and the signal basically telling her what to do, because the signal wants her to go to the tarantula and get the seeds and grow the tree, and that's exactly what Sue is going to do because the signal ended up helping her save Paul. So she goes to the room where this android is looking over these relics and whatnot, and she's like, "Hey, I brought you some more relics." And yeah, the android is very happy because he's like, "No one has brought me relics ever since the trust got shut down." So Sue ended up giving him a bag, and he takes out this device, which basically allows Sue to turn him off. Then she opens one of the lockers and she takes out the seed. And the signal is like, yes, sow the seed, grow the tree, yada, 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 and whatnot. So we cut to Father, and Holly's with him, and they're in the tank. And yeah, Father is bringing the tank back to the colony, and Marcus and Lucius are basically sitting in front of each other. And Father is like, "You know what, Lucius? I want you to scan him and see if there's something on Marcus, if he's hiding something, a weapon, a bomb, anything." And why? And before that happens, though, Lucius and Marcus are talking about their current dynamics because Marcus is like, "We are the last matriarch. I wasn't expecting you to start working for an android and taking an android's orders." And Lucius is like, "No, no, 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 no. This isn't what you think it is. I'm basically doing this because I want to end you because you aren't a matriarch anymore. You have been corrupted, and you think that you're talking to Saul, but no, you are basically talking to something else. You are being corrupt, and I need to end you." So Marcus is like, "Okay, so I guess that's how it is." So Lucius ends up scanning Marcus, and he ends up finding the relic that Marcus found in the previous episode, hidden in Marcus's boots. And yeah, Lucius Lucas takes it out, and Marcus is like, "I want you to keep it safe." And even Father asks if Marcus was hiding something, and Lucius actually lies because he's not going to tell Father about the relic that he found. So we got to Campion and Lamia, and they are walking through. I think it's like a community area where everyone is sitting, everyone is having food, eating food and whatnot, basically interacting with each other. And as these two are walking, Lamia is like, "You know what, Campion? I need you to come here daily. You need to introduce yourself to the people because you are going to lead them into the future, and they need to be more comfortable around you and whatnot. And yeah, start interacting with other people." And Campion is like, "Okay." And Lamia actually tells Campion that, "You know what? I have found that humans flourish when you allow them to be human beings. You need to allow them to make mistakes, learn, grow, and whatnot." And Campion is like, "Well, in a sense, this isn't exactly very that different from what Marcus was preaching." And Lamia's like, "No, no, 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 you misunderstood us. My teachings are not the same as Marcus's teachings." And Campion is like, "Yeah, okay." So Lamia leaves Campion be, and Campion turns to the people sitting there, and Tempest is there, I think, and Vera is also there. And yeah, Campion tries to talk to them, and he's like, "Would you like to hear a joke?" And the joke is, what does the skeleton say after the skeleton has served food? Bone appetit, with bone being Bone. It was okay. I was like, "Oh, Campion, at least he's trying." So Tempest decides to go and meet up with Hunter, and it turns out that he's been working on an android. I think this was the same android that got destroyed 2 episodes ago during Father's fight with that industrial model. And Hunter is like, "Yep, this is mine now." And Tempest is like, "Okay, so but why do you need an android in the first place?" And Hunter is like, "Well, it's because if I end up settling somewhere else, I need a android to help me out. We can't just stay kids forever, huh, Tempest?" And Tempest like, "Mm-hmm, mm-hmm." Because Tempest, throughout this episode, you can see Tempest slowly coming to the realization that she's going to give birth to a child, and she is going to grow up, and her life is going to change. So Lamia ends up taking Tempest to get her checked out, and Sue and Lamia are kind of worried about the baby because the heartbeat ended up accelerating after Tempest ended up meeting android that father was working on. And Sue is like, well, there's nothing for you to worry about, Tempest. However, I would like to tell you that the baby is growing at an exceeded space, and the baby is going to come out very soon, in a few hours, maybe by tomorrow. And Tempest is like, no, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. I still had time. And again, we get to see the writers dealing with Tempest's realization when it comes to what it means birthing a child that was fathered by a person that sexually assaulted her. And yeah, that's a very tough subject to handle. And personally, I don't think that the writers did a good job, but we'll get to it in a bit. But yeah, Sue is like, you have to do this, Tempest. You can't just stop the baby. You can't just stop it from coming out. And even Lamia is like, Tempest, you need to trust me. When you see the baby, you will love it. And I'm like, yeah, those lines didn't sit well with me, because those are the same lines certain people say to other women who don't want to give birth and who ended up being pregnant because of sexual assault. And yeah, certain people just want these women to go through with the birthing process, even though those women end up experiencing a lot of emotional trauma because they're giving birth to a child that was fathered by the person who sexually assaulted them. Like, again, a very heavy subject that needs it needs a nuanced discussion, which I think that the show didn't necessarily handle well. Anyway, moving on, Marcus is taken to the colony, and yeah, Mother is like, okay, Marcus, I need you to do something. And Marcus is like, well, I need you to renounce soul in front of these children, and if you do that, then you are free. And Marcus is like, no, I won't do that. And Mother ends up telling everyone that this is an ordinary man. The powers that he was exhibiting, it was because it was because he was using my eyes. He's just a normal man now. And Marcus is like, yeah, I'm a normal human being now. But Saul's love doesn't discriminate. You can be ordinary, you can be normal, and still be loved by Saul. So yeah, as far as Mother is concerned, Marcus is going to be locked up until he renounces Saul. And Marcus is taken away, and Lucius is like, wait. Lucas is like, wait. We had a deal. I made a promise with your partner that I would be the one to kill Marcus. And Mother is like, you know what, Lucas? You got your freedom. Be grateful for that. So yeah, Mother is like, you know what? I'm not going to kill Marcus because I'm going to use him in order to tell the children that Saul doesn't exist. And Father is like, you know what, Lucas? Don't worry. We'll come back to this topic later. So everyone is walking away from Marcus after putting him in prison, and this is where Mother and Sue have a conversation about what to do with Marcus. And Sue is like, you know what? I guess it was okay. Yeah, Mother is like, I think that you might be angry with me because I didn't kill Marcus. And Sue is like, no, not necessarily, because killing Marcus would have worried Paul, and I don't want that. And Mother is like, well, I also have to think about the other children and not just Paul, right? And Mother is like, I understand that. And yeah, you can tell that Sue has changed, especially after listening to the signal. She has changed, and she ends up doing certain things, which I'm like, Sue, why would you do this? So we cut to Campion and Paul having a conversation, because Paul is like, you need to ask Mother to let Marcus go. You just can't keep him in prison. And Paul is like, you also told me that you saw Saul, right? And Campion is like, yeah, I did see Saul in the previous episode, and I literally saw the light. And Paul is like, well, I'm glad that you're a believer, but you also need to tell Mother that. And Campion is like, well, you know that that's not going to be easy. And Paul is like, you know what? She wants you to lead the community, right? So you need to stand up to her, and you need to tell her that she needs to respect your decisions. You have to do this. You have to free Marcus. And Campion kind of tries it with Mother. He's like, Mother, because you want me to lead the community and you want me to be the leader, I want you to respect my decisions. So I want you to release Marcus. And Mother is like, tell me, Campion, what benefit? How would the community be benefited if we release Marcus? And Campion ends up talking about how if we release Marcus, people will realize that we aren't scared of a normal, ordinary human and whatnot. And if we keep him locked up, he basically becomes a symbol of resistance. And Mother is like, I understand where you're coming from, but Marcus ended up killing people. He put your lives in danger, and I can't risk having Marcus roaming around and putting other people's lives in danger as well. So I need you to focus on interacting with the community, because yeah, I forgot to mention this, because as far as Mother is concerned, she wants humans to act as humans, and she actually told them that, you know what, they won't be doing any more tasks for the trust anymore, and she wants them to explore their own interests. So as Mother is walking away, she notices Tempest acting weird. And then we get to see Campion going to meet Father in the shed, and Campion is like, what's that you're working on? And this is where Campion ends up learning about the android, and he's like, Father, I was speaking to Saul and whatnot, and I actually like the fact that the writers didn't drag that specific narrative decision out, because Campion gets to find out in this episode that he didn't see Saul, two episodes ago. It was actually this android. So as Campion comes closer to the android activates herself, and she actually reaches out for Campion's hand, and he touches it, and yeah, this is where Campion is like, oh, I actually saw this. I didn't see Saul. I actually saw the android that you were working on, Father. And I'm like, yep. I'm actually glad I'm actually glad with the fact that Campion isn't necessarily believing in Saul anymore. So Mother comes in and she's like, what the heck are you guys doing? And Campion's like, wait, Mother. She's okay. She's safe. Look, if I touch her, she gets activated. And Mother is like, no, stand back, Campion. I need to test what the heck this thing is. And she asks Campion to close his eyes, and she ends up entering her necromancer state. And she does something to the android, and Father is like, stop it, Mother. You're hurting her. And yeah, Lamia ends up deactivating the android, and the android falls on the ground. And this is where Father tells Lamia that he ended up calling this android botany tech or something, botany tech, which is basically technology mixed with botany, because he's like, I grew this thing as if I would grow a plant. And Campion is like, just imagine what we can do with this, Mother. We can build airships, we can build buildings, we can build giant androids. There's a lot of potential here. And Mother is like, Campion, I need to talk to Father for a bit, so can you leave us? And Campion is like, well, you won't, a grandmother won't be harmed, right? And Campion ended up calling the android grandmother, because this is a very, very old model, even older than Lamia and Father. And Lamia's like, you know what? I need you to leave. And this is where Lamia ends up talking to Father, and she is like, thank you, Father, because you ended up figuring out a way to help Campion be interested and not be distracted by the teachings of Saul and whatnot. So I thank you for that. And Father is like, okay, so what do you want to do with grandmother? And Mother is like, well, I need to test her. I need to see if she's trustworthy or not. And considering the fact that she has been on this planet for a very, very long time, she might end up having some information about the signal and where it's coming from. And Father is like, I highly doubt it. You're talking about the same signal that ended up impregnating you with number 7, right? I highly doubt that this android is connected to that particular signal. And Mother is like, well, still, we still have to see whether or not we can trust this machine. So Sue decides to go and meet up with Marcus, and I'm like, Sue, why are you doing this? Why? Again, I kind of liked Sue, and I wasn't a fan of seeing Sue acting in such a rash manner. And Sue is like, well, Marcus, I ended up believing in Saul. And Marcus like, wait, what? You're telling the truth? And Sue is like, yep. I ended up hearing Saul. I'm not really sure if it's supposed to be a higher entity or if it's someone out there sending signals. But the fact is that on this planet, Saul is real, whatever it is. And Saul's the one who ended up helping me figure out how to heal Paul. So I'm going to get you out, Marcus. I'm going to get you out. So we get a scene where Mother and Father are testing grandmother. And yeah, it's a very, very, very old model. And they start exploring her construction and whatnot. And Father is like, well, she is a very unique being. And Mother is like, well, number 7 is a unique being too. So they end up learning that there's a black photon implanted in her brain. I think Mother ended up figuring that out when she knocked the android down in the shed. But yeah, she's like, it's the same black photon similar to mine. However, Father is like, well, there is a difference, because while your body is basically made out of weaponry, there seem to be certain things in grandmother that I can't figure out the purpose of. And Mother is like, well, it would be beneficial if you don't allow the children to come near grandmother until we fully trust what this thing is. And Father's like, well, we can trust it, right? And Mother's like, no. You are way too trustworthy. So let's stop. And also, I forgot during in the shed when Mother and Father were talking to each other. Father was like, well, this android is using a very, very old language. Can you translate it? She asked me something, and Mother is like, well, she actually asked you why you weren't wearing your veil. So we cut to Paul and Stu, and they're trying to figure out how to open the seed box. And yeah, it's not working. It's not working, even though they're trying quite hard. So while Sue and Paul are trying to open up the seed box, number seven gets annoyed. He's being uncomfortable. Because he's trashing around in the cage, and Campion and the rest of the kids hear it in their camp. And Campion is like, "Well, I need to go and check out what's happening with number seven." So he goes into the cell, and yeah, number seven is trashing around, and it ends up hitting Campion. And Campion hits the wall, and Campion gets hurt. And before number seven can hurt Campion further, Sue and Paul stop trying to open the seed box because nothing is working. And once they stop, number seven gets calmer, and Mother runs in, and Mother is like, "What the heck is wrong with you, number seven? You beast, you big old beast! You're 100 times larger than Campion. You could have really hurt him." And yeah, the snake, the little snake, I was going to call it this little snake, but yeah, the young snake ends up crying, feeling sad, and Mother is like, "Oh, don't cry. I apologize. I really care for you and whatnot." So you can tell that the fact that Paul and Sue were trying to force open the seed, it was making the snake uncomfortable. So yeah, the snake is connected to the seed, this tree somehow. And Sue is like, "Well, I guess we'll have to try something else because Tempest baby is due tomorrow, and because Mother will be distracted, we will go and free Marcus, and then we'll figure out what to do with the seed." And Paul is like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." So Tempest is sleeping in her compartment. Okay, so Tempest is sleeping in her compartment. She's kind of woken up because it's time for the baby. I think the baby is going to be due in like 4 to 5 hours. And Mother is like, "Well, Tempest, I'm here for you. You have come a long way, and I have some errands to run. But your companions will look after you, and I've tasked them to make sure that you make it to the hospital in time." And Tempest is like, "Well, if I have grown, why do I need people to look after me?" And Mother is like, "Well, it's part of human nature that when they end up facing a lot of pressure, they either grow from it or they regress." And she ends up giving Tempest a tracker, and she's like, "This is a tracker that only I can hear. So if I'm not around and the baby is due, push it and I'll come get you." So father is still trying to figure out what makes grandmother tick, and yeah, grandmother ends up activating, and she talks to father, and she's like, "Why are you using English?" And father is like, "Well, that's the only language I know." And she's like, "Okay, so where am I? Why aren't you wearing your veil? And I'm your partner, right?" And father's like, "No, you're not my partner. I'm actually partnered up with the mother." And grandmother's like, "Okay, the necromancer, the weapon, you're her partner?" And father's like, yeah. So yeah, basically mother is very, very confused about what's happening. And she's like, "How many people are on this planet?" And father's like, "Well, a few hundred." And yeah, she is confused. I think it's her entire circuitry is getting overloaded, and she shuts off. And father's like, okay. So Hunter goes and check on Tempest, and yeah, he goes into her room, and Tempest isn't there, and Hunter is like, "Oh, this is bad. This is very, very bad." So yeah, we will get to Tempest in a bit, and I'm like, "Why are you doing this, writers?" But yeah, it happened. Anyway, before that moment comes, Sue has come to free Marcus, and Marcus is ready to go, but he notices the guy that we saw. What's his name? Cleaver, I guess. Cleaver, I guess his name's Cleaver. I don't remember, but yeah, Cleaver doesn't want to come with Marcus, even though Marcus wants him to come with him. He's like, "The more, the merrier." And Cleaver is like, "No, I want to go back to Earth." And Sue is like, "Marcus, the trust really did a number on his brain, so leave him." And Marcus, before he goes, he's like, "Cleaver, when the tree is grown, I want you to eat from the tree, the fruit of the tree, and it will heal you." So Marcus and Sue leave. They meet up with Paul, and yeah, it's a happy family reunion. And now they have to figure out how to take the seed out of the seed box. So Tempest is just walking around. Her baby is coming, and yeah, and I'm like, "Okay, Tempest, so what the heck are you trying to do? What's your plan? Do you want to chuck the baby into the acidic sea? What's the plan here?" So she ends up sitting on some rocks, and she basically gives birth to her baby on her own. And I'm like, "Wow, Tempest, really? You went through all of this to give birth to a baby on your own?" And when she sees the baby, she ends up falling in love with it. And I'm like, "You aren't even going to throw the baby away? what are you doing, girl? But yeah, again, coming back to how the writers handled this, again, this reminded me, as I've mentioned before, this reminded me of how women are forced to go through with pregnancies, even though the reason that they ended up being pregnant was because of sexual assault, because the reasoning that other people give these women is that, you know what, once the baby is born, you will fall in love with it. And I'm like, that's very, very problematic depending on a case by case basis. So, turns out that due to hearing the baby's wails, we get to see this weird creature coming out from the acidic ocean, and it actually takes the baby from Tempest after burning Tempest's arms with acid. And I'm like, okay, so you can actually see that the baby isn't being burned. So I'm not really sure if that the hands of these creatures are acidic. Uh, like if you touch them and you will get burned, or they have to excrete the acid from their hands, and as the creature is taking the baby away, it's not excreting acid from its hands. I'm not really sure. So either it's not excreting the acid or the baby is resistant to acid. I'm not sure. But anyway, the fish creature ends up putting the baby inside its chest, and I'm like, oh no, the baby has been kidnapped. So is the creature going to kill Tempest? But no, Tempest is still there. She's crying. Hunter comes in with his android in the background. And yeah, Tempest baby has been kidnapped by the sea creature. And now my theory is that because the baby ended up being coming out quite quickly before its due date, I have a feeling that the baby is going to undergo a rapid growth development, and it might end up coming out of the ocean during the finale as, I guess, a 5 or 10 year old kid. But let's see what happens. So anyway, Hunter takes Tempest home, of course, and Tempest is a mess. Everyone is basically a mess. Even Mother is disappointed because she's like, we couldn't even save a single human baby child. Basically, the biggest mission that we were programmed to handle, we couldn't save it. What's wrong with us, Father? And she ends up bringing up the theory that father said in the previous episode, I think, about how they might end up being how they both of them are turning more into humans, more human and then more android. And mother is like, well, father, you might be right, because it is a human flaw to be distracted by other things, and maybe that's what's happening to us. And father is like, well, what do you think happened with Sue and Paul? And mother's like, what the heck are you talking about? So mother goes to Sue's room, and we get to see a nosebleed, and I'm not really sure why this nosebleed is happening. Maybe because of the pressure that she's feeling. But yeah, she ends up using the sphere that Sue used, and she's like, okay, tell me where Sue is. And the sphere is like, no, that information is restricted. And she's like, well, override. And the sphere ends up using a hologram to show what Sue has been up to, and how she reconnected with Paul, and how she has been praying to Saul. And yeah, mother is like, not you too. Of course she's angry, and I'm disappointed too, because I was not expecting Sue to go down this route as character development, her character arc. So mother decides to go and meet up with Lucas, and she's like, Lucas, do you know where Sue, Paul, and Marcus might have gone? And Lucas is like, how the heck would I know? And he's like, well, I do have something, okay? So he ends up giving her the relic that he found on Marcus, and mother is like, okay, so what is this? And Lucas is like, well, it is a warning about the tree. And I'm like, uh-oh. And mother ends up scanning the relic. And then we cut to Marcus, Paul, and Sue having dinner. They're having fun, and Marcus like, well, tomorrow is going to be a good day because we will figure out how to open this box and sow the seed. Everyone's happy, and it's time for them to go to sleep. And Paul is having difficulty sleeping, and he's like, well, will you sing me a lullaby? And Sue is like, well, I guess I'll try if I remember. And she ends up singing a betrayed lullaby, and because of the lullaby. The box starts opening, and we get to see a single seed inside the box. And Sue picks it up, and I'm like, okay, so these people are just touching everything weird on this planet without gloves, huh? So the seed ends up going into Sue, and Sue's body is acting weird. She walks out, and she ends up quickly digging the ground. And I'm like, oh no, don't tell me that the seed is going to come out of Sue. Is Sue going to die? I don't want Sue to die, but I guess she's dead. Yeah, I guess she's dead, or maybe she's connected to the tree. So this is the tree that Marcus and everyone was talking about. We don't get to see Sue's dead body. Paul and Marcus wake up, and they're like, oh, that's the tree. Maybe mom ended up figuring out how to sow the seed while we were asleep, huh? And everyone is calling out for Sue. Paul and Marcus, and Marcus ends up noticing a fruit on the ground. He picks it up, he opens it, and he takes a bite. And I'm like, is that real fruit or is that human flesh from Sue? I don't know. And then Marcus ends up hearing a rumbling, and he sees these weird lines going up the tree, and he touches them. And this is where it dawns on him that, I guess Sue was dead, and Sue was the sacrifice that was needed in order to grow the tree. And of course, he's tearing up because he loved Sue, and Paul is just calling out for her, for his mother. But yeah, the episode ends with Marcus basically being disheartened in front of the tree while he touches it with his hand, and you can see the lines still going up on the tree. And I'm like, okay, so is Sue still alive? Maybe her conscience is still alive inside the tree. I don't know. But yeah, this is where the episode ends. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that season number 2 is only going to have 8 episodes. So 2 more episodes left. Again, not really a fan of how the Sue thing worked out. And not really a fan of how the Tempest thing worked out. But yeah, still an enjoyable episode. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section below. Until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.